in what order the vases were made, like how they were made, but what was the process of them being made. And I know there's a lot of debate and discussion on, do you turn it first and cut the outside first? At what point do you core it? At what point do you hollow out the walls? At what point do you polish it? At what point does the material between the handles come out? Have you guys thought much about a step-by-step kind of a process for how these would have been made?
Yeah, and it is something that I have discussed with Chris Dunn and machinists who would, I think have a better idea than me about how this was done. And from my understanding, I think probably the first step you're going to do is if you can take that block of, say it's a raw block of stone that's been quarried or whatever that you're going to make a vase out of. I think that the first thing you would do is you would run a tube drill down it. The first step is probably that initial tube drill.
That defines your center.
Yeah, it defines your center.
Then you got to balance it before you can spin it.
Yeah. So you get
there's that ball in the bottom of the step pyramid that
right.
It seems like a raw, like they were going to make it into a vase. It's roughly, it's a huge ball of like granite basically or granodiorite. It's extremely heavy. And this is one of the things we questioned, like if these vases were made by these people, why are they storing an incomplete one, a raw one down here, But it's like somebody took the trouble to lug this incredibly heavy ball of, it's not a vase, a big ball of material down here, because it was probably part of the rest of them wherever they found them, or at least they found a bunch of them. But yeah, it looks like Ben said, you'd have your piece, you core it out, now you have your center, and then you're going to want to, if you're going to spin it, you're going to want to start like shaving it off and make it roughly balanced. Otherwise, you get it on there and get it going, and it's going to tear your machine apart.
You guys have a picture of this one?
I probably do, and it just did make me think of something else that's in the Cairo Museum as well, which is...
I can send it to you too.
Which contradicts a bit of this, and whether or not that... So I do also... there are examples of handmade hard stone vessels that you'll find in the museum. You can see where they've been clearly grinding out a center. It's not like this defined tool mark. You can see where they've been grinding away, and it's a rough thing. But they also do have like what looks like the outside of a vessel. It's sort of roughly circular, and it is pretty well polished, but it's literally just like it's snapped off at the end. There's no hole in the center. It's just like they haven't... It's possible that it wasn't ever a vase. It could have been a piece that was snapped off something else, that this top part of it, but it's like, it is this polished exterior. Like we do the tops of head jets, for example. Like you see these other circular shapes of statues, like the crown, like the double crown, the pashents and the head jets, particularly the head jets, like the bowling pin looking crown. And at Luxor Temple, for example, you can find that rounded shape that's been snapped off at the end. Maybe it could have been something like that, but it's in the vase room along with these other handmade vessels, and it's definitely a polished exterior, but it's like the top of it's been snapped off. I'm trying to find a picture of it here if I've got one. But yeah, I think for at least these precision ones where we see the tool marks and the marks of the tube drills, to me it makes sense. And I think machinists that I've spoken to about it agree that, the tube drill, defining that center with the tube drill is the first thing. You balance it, and then you might start either, this is what a famous quote from Flinders Petrie. He says, the principle of rotating the tool was abandoned in favor of rotating the work. So he thinks that, particularly in the smaller ones, you're not rotating a tool on it. You're getting the work like in a lathe, and you're spinning it, and then it's a fixed tool point that's working on it. And you'd need that center defined. So to me, it's like that process. Probably the first thing is, you do that core drill. You start shaping the outside. Get the outside to where you roughly want it. You would leave that bull nose or whatever it is, that protuberance. That's probably because I don't think you can machine those. You can't turn it and create those lug handles. You need to leave that material all the way around the vessel. And then you might start doing the inside. You might start getting in there and curling out that inside relative to the outside, keeping that thickness where you want it. It's an interesting question once you get down to like the very thin-walled vases, because, and this was an idea that I think Chuck and some other people suggested on the trips. A geologist friend of ours, Chuck, he's awesome, and that they might have even like filled the inside with something to keep that vase solid. So as you're machining it down to this like very thin, you might want to like pack something into the center to keep it solid, so you're not getting as much vibration as you would otherwise getting it relatively thin. That might be a method that's involved, but I think that's the process. and then the polishing would probably happen at the end. I'd think once it's been shaped.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember when Chuck was telling us that. He's like, if you want to get it really thin, you fill it with some kind of material that'll harden that you can then you can get out later by heating it or something. And then you can turn it, you can wear the outside down as thin as you want without worrying about it breaking. And then you can get the stuff out of the middle.
Yeah, when you're hollowing out the walls from the inside, that's got to be one of the trickiest parts to make sure that it doesn't break. That the piece doesn't break.
So it seems you want to do that first, right?
Potentially.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, if you do it last, then if you do it first and you continue to work on it, then you got a better chance of breaking it, I think.
This here.
Oh, there you go.
Okay, so
there's interesting, right? Like this is in the museum.
So what are we looking at?
So this is in the museum. It's in a section.
It's been broken off there.
It's been broken off at the top. This is in the Egyptian Museum in Cairo. This is polished on the outside. It's obviously had some damage, but it looks kind of like the exterior of a vase, right? A no lug handle circular vase, but it's
no inside.
No inside.
Yeah. Okay. So it hasn't been cored. It has been cored, or
no, it hasn't. This is stone. So this is snapped off on top. So it's
solid stone.
Yeah.
So it looks like they're getting the outside shape before they core it. Then at least on this one.
Or as I said, it's a possibility that this was never a vase and it was attached to something else via this.
Okay.
It could be the pommel of a
four-poster
statue.
bed.
Or from a four-poster bed, or the bottom of one of those daggers, or it's. I don't know.
How big is it? What's the?
It's like yay big.
Okay, so it's large. Yeah, it's not a small like it would go on top of a.
Is there room on the top in the material to make
a lip?
Like a lip? No. Okay.
None. It actually gets down pretty close to the surface here. You can see, and there's a bit more like it's snapped off. Like there's more material on the backside here.
Okay. My thought was that they hollowed the walls probably after they polished the outside because of just how dangerous it would be to hollow the walls and then continue to work on a vase,
and polishing it
to try to get the wall thickness exactly right. It's tricky. You got a good chance of breaking it.
I think that's true. Yeah, regardless, but somehow they managed it.
Yeah,
I mean whatever process they did, I think that's one of the, I talk about a lot, but it's one of the most astonishing aspects of it. Like these large crystal inclusions in this stone, and it gets down to like as Petrie described it, the stoutness of thin card, and it's diorite and translucent, and like how do you stop that from being brittle and shattering? Because in any reel, you start spinning that thing and put a tool on you really have a good chance of shattering it.
Right.
But they evidently could do it.
Right.
That's why I think it's interesting that it's. I see what you're saying, but at the same time, I understand what Chuck was saying. Chuck has done a lot of stone cutting. He's a jeweler. He cuts gems. Yep. He's also made artifacts just with regular stone. And he thinks, in his opinion, and I kind of see what he's saying, that you do the inside first while you still have all this thick material on the outside, because you're not worried about breaking it while you're making the interior. And then when you mount it and you're spinning it to make the outside, now you have a much stronger fixed tool. It doesn't have to go in and bend.
Yeah.
The tool is, so it's going to be more precise, and you can carefully work that material off the outside and get it thinner and thinner and thinner. Yeah. And you can see what you're doing as well. If it's being lathed, which is hard to say with some of these, with the way the lugs are, they've got this outside curve on them and stuff. I mean, it's like, I just don't know if lathing is what happened at all.
Me either.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. It could be some process we don't understand.
Yeah.
I mean, this is, these are handmade. This is like you can see them attempting to replicate or make handmade bits of stone. So this is hard stone, but you can see how it's been roughly ground out in the center. There's no room for collars or lips or anything like that. Some of these do have inset collars with the necks and the tops. I think these are all examples of later replication. I mean, but they've obviously worked on the outside of the stone here as well. Like they've got it into that, that shape, and they've been polishing away at the stone. But you can see the rough tool marks on the inside. I don't think this is how the precise vases were made, but these are in that collection in the museum as examples of the process. But it doesn't make a lot of sense.
Could one of those have been turned into this?
Yeah,
like if it was
maybe.
up, if if it came up like into more of a ball, like on that last picture, it looks like you could almost flatten it and create something like this.
Possibly. I mean, yeah, I don't know. You can't. I don't think how you go from one of these blanks to like this. Like that's, this is the one with all the corundum in it.
Go back to those other ones.
This one here.
There's no room for handles on those.
Yeah,
I mean,
there's
I
no
guess
lug handles.
No room for handles,
yeah,
right?
I guess. Well, I mean, I guess if but they're already polished, so it's
Well, look at the.
you're not going to
defect in
polish
this
like
one.
that if you get tend to wear a bunch more material off there to leave room for handles.
And
so.
this one is like not round. See the
Yeah.
the divot at the stone. I mean,
Yeah.
it is that nice porphyry or diorite with the big crystal inclusions has been polished.
Yeah.
But the center's been hacked out. It almost looks like that thing's hollow too. I can't tell if that goes all the way
All the
through.
way
in
through,
center.
yeah.
It does look like it. Yeah.
Well, they did make those.
This one too, actually.
What were they called?
This is like ring.
Yeah, they're
No.
rings. Yeah.
Mace heads. Mace heads.
Oh, yeah,
too.
like a
Yeah,
mace.
the mace heads, right? The diorite mace heads that are all pre-dynastic. They're like flattened out.
Yeah.
I don't think.
No,
I don't
so you're
think
just
they have holes in the
polishing
center
it
or
with the
not.
blood of your enemies.
Right.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah, yeah. I've been paying a lot more attention to the other stuff that isn't necessarily high precision lately. I've been looking for like this sort of stuff where your alabaster pieces.
Yeah.
This is handmade, beautiful, but clearly handmade from a softer piece of stone. Although you do see some really remarkable machining in other stone, like you do see some stuff in alabaster,
this is
this,
just-
which is like
How?
Yeah,
right.
what?
This is like a how thing.
Yeah.
And why?
Why? You got some of the really tiny ones, the thumbnail
I do,
size.
yeah.
Yeah.
No, really. Like how?
Yeah.
Well, I don't know is the answer. Like, I get
There's
that a
also,
lot.
there's also sets where there's two of them sort of connected, and you start to wonder how did they do that?
Right. Yeah.
Where's the 22 trip? Yeah, I'll find the. I know I have the little thumb one in
Look
here.
how organized he is. Look at that.
Yeah.
Day 3, Day 2 museum. This has. I do love this picture of Carl, by the way.
Oh yeah.
It's cool.
Yeah. You see that? Flint blade.
That's flint napping.
Yeah,
that's,
yeah.
That's some mastery in flint napping right there.
Yeah.
But yeah, I have the. So this is like the little,
Yeah, the little bitty ones.
tiny, little itty bitty ones.
Look at this.
I mean,
They're,
That's crazy.
this is like green tourmaline or something. It actually it lights up. It's like a bright, vivid green under a light.
In the handles go bottom left to top right. On you can tell they're slanted a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
On that one and the one on the. I mean on a lot of them. On not most of them, but on a lot of them they do slant bottom left to top right on both sides. So people ask like, well, if you extended the lines out, where would they meet? Well, if they're both going top left and bottom right, they never meet.
They never meet. Yeah.
Yeah, you can see with a bit of light on it how it's translucent.
Yeah.
And it's like a not jade, but I think green tourmaline might be the material. I mean, you have other stuff which is really interesting from a machining perspective. Stuff like this quartz crystal gourd, or little vase, like a long-necked vase, like a gourd. You also see these made from obsidian. Of course, it's next to flint nap stuff.
Sure.
It makes perfect sense.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. Yeah. And then they have some really nice, smaller pieces like this.
Yeah, those are nice.
Like
yeah.
it's like, here's a replica, right?
That's
here's,
painted.
Here's an original. Yeah, it's been painted and
Yeah.
chipped. It might, I don't know if it's pottery or something. It might be pottery, that one.
Proudly displayed next to the.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
see like
Stone.
this in the background
Right.
next to these things.
Right.
Yeah, and this one's flat.
This
right?
one's
That's
the
why
flat.
it's in this stand. It's like a flattened.
It's like the one that you have over here.
Yeah.
And then this one, there's a couple like this that are like almost, I think, bang on for the OG, the Adams vase, the first vessel, and a lot of yours actually have that similar shape.
Same shape. Yeah.
You see the same shape, and I keep comparing it to the same shape types that we see in the museum. I think I have more photos in this one of the vessels. Yeah. So yeah, and then this is the later
Yeah.
iterations of alabaster work, clearly handmade, still beautiful, but not the same thing. So
Yeah, that's the big one.
this is the big one, right?
That's the big one you can kind of stand next to, put your
Yeah,
hands on.
You can see.
Wow. Looks like a perfect circle. I mean,
It's good.
It
yeah.
is, yeah.
Yeah, and this is the interesting part that to me is like I think I have a picture of the inside.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. So this is the big one.
wow.
So it's pretty funny. You go to the museum, right? They have these perspex lids on top of them because these bigger ones, like back when you could smoke in the museum.
People think they're ashtray.
Yeah,
right?
people had to put perspex lids on them because people would throw their trash and their cigarettes in the vases. Right. I'm like, no, that's actually a priceless artifact, so not an ashtray, but okay. But it's actually interesting because you can see some of the process here. So this has obviously not been tube drilled out because it's so large, but if you look in closely, what do you see at the bottom there?
It's a little lopsided, you mean?
Well, it's lopsided, but you can see the marks from how they did hollow this thing out.
Yeah.
Right.
You see the tube drills.
Yep.
Right? You can see that there's at least 4 clear tubular drills.
Yeah, circular marks on it.
Circular marks that have been used. So it's like we know, and you can see it in the vases, in the plates, and everything. You know that the tubular drill was used in the process of manufacturing these things large and small.
Wow.
And that would have been a pretty big tube drill.
That would have been a deep tube drill, and it's run out right into it.
Well, 4 tube drills, it looks
But,
like. Right?
Yeah, so it's probably it's repetitive. And same thing with the boxes. So this is what's interesting. This is how I connect. You know, you can connect the vessels and the vases and the technology used to create them to the pyramids and the pyramid builders, because you find tubular drills, the evidence for it all over the Great Pyramid, in the box in the Great Pyramid. Like that box was carved out with the use of tubular drills. In fact, if you in a couple spots of the box in the King's Chamber, you can see where a tube drill's run off course, a powerful tool, and it's run into the wall. And it's like when they flattened it out, they didn't get it deep enough to polish out the mark of that tube drill. But you know, it must have ran off course and been a powerful tool, because again, if this is a grinding methodology, you would have had to be making that mistake for probably 20 hours of worth of work to realize, oh, okay, we're off course, we should back out and start and hit this again. So this is the same technologies used in statues. You see tube drill marks and powerful like cuts in statues. You see it in pyramids. There's a lot of tube drills in pyramids, and you see it in these vessels. So that's why I think these vases are so important. They're like a smoking gun to that story of history, because you can connect them to other elements of what we would call, you know, dynastic Egyptian artifacts and architecture. But these we know go back in time. Like they predate the Old Kingdom. So it's like, okay, do the other things also predate the Old Kingdom? These are small enough where you can be buried with them. That's the only reason that we do put them into that time frame, because we found them in burials. Statues, boxes, pyramids, you can't be buried with them. Yeah, someone can come along later on, write their name on it, which is what happens. And that's how they get dated, right? The big statues, wherever, it's like Ramses puts his name on them. Apparently he must have had them built. Like that's the logic. It's kind of silly, but